Hey, I'm Mr. Roboto, back again with another quick trade review. All right, so today we're just going to talk about a trade I took at market open. It was Facebook calls for a really nice win. All right, so big picture, this is zoomed out on Facebook, about 90 days on the 2-hour time frame. Well, what we can see is that for the most part, for like the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 months now, Facebook has basically been trading in this range right here, right? So generally in this range, you can see the price really likes to, go up and down. But for the most part, it consolidates in the middle of this range. It did break below at one point, and it did kind of break above it a couple times. But for the most part, it's been trading in this range for, the better part of 2 months now. Well, yesterday was the first time in 2 months that Facebook broke out of this range, right? So anytime I see something like this, usually there's a good chance that the stock will come back and retest this range. And so that was sort of the play that I was looking for on Facebook today. And that's exactly what we got, right? So that's the big picture on Facebook. That helps me formulate my thesis on Facebook and why, dips back into this range are actually, a high probability trade to go long on. All right, now let's zoom in a little bit closer to see what I was seeing going into market open, right? So let's look at the 30-minute time frame. So going into market open, I had two zones that were playable to me. Basically, I had a 30-minute demand zone right here. You can see this very small red basing candle right here from pre-market yesterday. Well, the price ripped up from here. We retested this demand, and then the price, just continued ripping up from here yesterday, right? So I like this 30-minute demand zone right here, and it also had confluence with this prior resistance right here, right? Almost perfect prior confluence, right? And if we zoom out, this is again around the top of that range that I was talking about that Facebook had been trading in for the past 2 months. Well, for supply, I also had this 30-minute supply zone right here. We took the open of this green basing candle, right? And we brought it up. I just brought it up to around this general area because this is, generally where the price was stuffed in pre-market, right? So we, from this level, we had a big sell-off in the pre-market. When I saw this going into open, I was immediately, Facebook, was one of the things that I was looking to go long on. Because if we look at the bigger picture on Facebook again, it broke out of its range. It's very bullish, right? It's making higher highs, and it's making higher lows, right? So it's been very bullish for like the past 2 or 3 days now. So I'm looking to get long on something that's fairly strong right now. Well, let's go look into at open and then see how I ended up playing this. Right, so let's go to 1 day, 5 minute. So basically, when I saw this, it was dipping. Right, don't want to be the first buyer. There's no demand zone here in the middle, so there's no you have to be patient here, right? Yeah, you could have bought here. That could have been a place to buy, but there was just so much downward pressure that I knew this like zone right here probably would not hold up. Plus the market was just kind of unfolding at this point, the overall market and the indices. So this to me was just not a good level. Plus, another reason why I didn't buy here was because one, there's this downward pressure, plus two, the prior resistance was right here, right? So I know I need to get close to this prior resistance, right? And the closest zone or demand zone to this prior resistance is the one that I identified earlier, that 30-minute demand zone, right? So there's no chance I'm buying here, right? Some people will say, there might be a demand zone right here. There's no chance I'm buying here either. It's just, this is where we actually opened at today, right? So there's just, again, there's too much downward pressure for me to, enter early here. Instead, got pretty nice entries right here at the bottom. We got in right here, right there. I scaled out on this first push. The first 5 minutes, there was this big push right here, and I went ahead and scaled out right around the I was counting down, waiting for this 5-minute candle to close, and then right around here on some strength, I went ahead and took some scales. The next 5 minute, we pushed up again, took some here. And my target was always this 30-minute supply zone. We got very close to it. And I went ahead and just scaled out the rest of my contracts. Not I kind of I wasn't I didn't need to wait for this touch right here, because I thought this would be, this was a pretty much already a good amount that Facebook has traveled for today. So I went ahead and scaled right around there, right? Again, in line with the bottom here, in pre-market. I like this scale at prior support, right? So I know that there's people here who bought this prior support who are underwater. If the price gets back to where they bought, they're most likely going to sell for break even, right? So I like to be a part of that selling pressure once the price gets back up to there, right? So I took this, best scales were around, I think 64, 65%. Really good trade, to take right at open. Really set up my morning where I didn't need to actually trade anymore. This was I was pretty much done after this trade. We did take some more trades later on in the day that also ended up being pretty good. But all right, supply and demand, really good example. You buy in demand and you sell, close to supply. All right, if you want to know more about this, if you want to learn about supply and demand, more advanced techniques, you can go to www.supplyanddemandzones.com. But I'll check you out on the next video. Thanks.